Lana didn't normally spend her afternoons in spa salons, especially not wearing someone else's uniform. But Sara, her best friend since university, and the most chaotic massage therapist in the city, had begged her to drop by. "Just 10 minutes," Sara said. "I'm on break. Come keep me sane." 10 minutes. Lana should have known that with Sara. 10 minutes translated to just enough time to get you into trouble. The moment Lana stepped into the softly lit massage room, she felt as if she'd walked into another universe. Warm amber lamps, shelves lined with scented oils, a faint relaxing melody playing from hidden speakers. Everything so calm that it almost felt illegal. "Oh, come on," Sara exclaimed, grinning as she rummaged in a drawer. "Try this on." Before Lana could protest, Sara tossed her a lightweight white tunic, the spa uniform. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Lana laughed. "Just put it on. You'll look adorable. Besides, no one's here right now. It'll be funny." Lana rolled her eyes, but she liked funny. And she definitely liked making Sara snort laugh at work. So she slipped into the tunic, tied the simple wrap at her waist, and gathered her hair into a loose ponytail. Sara stepped back, whistling. "Look at you! If I didn't know better, I'd hire you myself." "Yeah, right," Lana said. "One accidental elbow jab, and your client sues the spa." "True," Sara admitted. "But you look the part. Stand over there, like you're prepping the table." Laughing, Lana picked up one of the small bottles of oil and pretended to examine it professionally. "With this, I shall summon peace and relaxation," she announced dramatically. Sara burst into giggles, and that's exactly when her phone rang. "Shoot," she muttered, glancing at the screen. "I need to take this. Emergency appointment rearrangements." "Go," Lana said. "I'll guard the oils." Sara slipped out of the room, leaving the door slightly ajar. Lana stayed where she was, still in character, still smiling to herself. She padded around the room, touching the smooth edge of the massage table, inhaling the lavender scent, imagining what it felt like to work in a place this tranquil. It was almost grounding. She leaned over the table to look at a weirdly shaped essential oil bottle when the door clicked. She straightened slowly. Someone entered. And it definitely wasn't Sara. The man who stepped inside looked like he carried half the world on his shoulders. Tall, broad-shouldered, handsome in a way that made her blink, and clearly exhausted. One hand rubbed the back of his neck, the other pressed against his lower back. His eyes landed on her, or rather, on the uniform she was very unfortunately still wearing. "Hi," he said with a polite, strained smile. "I think I'm your 3 o'clock appointment." Lana froze. 3 o'clock appointment. 3 o'clock appointment. She opened her mouth to explain, to say, "I'm not who you think I am," or, "Please don't sue me if I accidentally break a vertebra." But the words tangled somewhere in her throat. He looked so tired, so genuinely relieved to see her, so trusting. And the situation was so absurd that for a second, all she could do was stare. He mistook her for the massage therapist. And she was about to correct him, truly, fully, like a responsible adult. But then he smiled again, a tired, grateful smile that pushed something warm into her chest. So instead, she heard herself say, "Oh, yes, right, of course. Oh, no. Oh, yes, what am I doing?" He sat down on the small bench next to the table. "I appreciate you fitting me in on such short notice," he said. "I've had the week from hell." She cleared her throat. "I can imagine." She couldn't imagine anything, actually. Her brain was running in circles, screaming abort mission. But her face remained suspiciously calm. Trying to appear professional, she picked up a bottle of oil. Her hand shook just a little, enough for him to notice. "You okay?" he asked gently. "Oh, yes," she said, forcing a smile. "Just warming up my hands." "Warming up my hands?" "Lana, girl, what are you saying?" He chuckled, and the sound sent a little spark through her. "If you don't mind," he said, "my back is the main issue." "Oh, yes, of course. Your back." She had literally no idea what she was doing. Zero. None. But she motioned toward the table like she'd seen Sara do it 100 times. He lay face down, and for one fleeting moment, Lana thought, I'm about to be sued. She placed her hands gently on his shoulders, expecting him to flinch or question her technique. Instead, he let out a low, relieved exhale. Wow, he murmured. That already feels good. Already? She'd barely touched him. Great, she managed, trying not to panic. Just relaxing the tension. Her technique was questionable at best, but her gentleness made up for it, and he seemed blissfully unaware of her lack of training. His breathing slowed, and his body loosened under her tentative motions. She tried to mimic the few things she'd seen Sara do. Circular motions. Press lightly, not too light. Try not to jab him with your thumb. Oops, okay, that was close. Your hands, he said quietly. They're soft, calming, she swallowed. Thank you. Moisturizer. He laughed again, warm, genuine, and something inside her fluttered. Despite the absurdity, there was a strange, undeniable chemistry between them. Playful, quietly electric. At one point he said, You have a very soothing presence. She blinked. I do? You do. He sounded sincere. It helps more than you know. Her heart did a small, traitorous flip. Just as she was starting to enjoy this, or at least not panic, the door cracked open. Sara peeked inside. Her eyes widened so drastically, she looked like a cartoon character. Lana's hand shot up instantly in a silent, please don't say a word gesture. Sara froze, trying not to gasp. Lana mouthed later. Sara nodded and tiptoed away. When the session ended, Lana wiped her palms, trying to maintain whatever professional dignity she still possessed. He sat up slowly, stretching his back. That was incredible, he said sincerely. Thank you. Before she could respond, he placed a folded bill on the table, far more than a normal tip, and added, You have magic hands. I'm definitely coming back. Her jaw almost dropped. He smiled once more, grabbed his jacket, and walked out. When the door closed, Lana inhaled sharply. Sara burst back in at full speed. What? How? Why? Don't ask, Lana groaned, covering her face. Just don't. They lasted 3 seconds before breaking into uncontrollable laughter. But later, when Lana stood alone outside the spa, the cool air against her flushed cheeks, she caught her reflection in the window. The silly tunic, the messy ponytail, the stupid grin she didn't mean to have. And she thought, what if I actually want to see him again? David hadn't planned on returning to the spa so soon. In fact, the moment he stepped outside after that bizarre, strangely soothing session, he told himself he was imagining things. No massage. Especially one that inconsistent, chaotic, and borderline dangerous, it should have made him feel that good. Yet here he was the very next afternoon, standing at the reception desk like a man on a mission. The receptionist looked up with her professional smile. Hello, how can I help you today? Yes, David said, clearing his throat. I'd like to book another session with the, new therapist. The one who handled my appointment yesterday. The receptionist blinked. New therapist? We don't have anyone new scheduled yesterday. Oh, she was definitely new, David insisted, leaning a little closer. Petite, brown eyes, nervous, but talented hands. He instantly regretted how that sounded. The receptionist's eyebrows climbed. David coughed. She was wearing a white tunic, ponytail, sweet, a little unconventional. The receptionist tapped her keyboard, puzzled. I'm sorry, sir. We had only 2 therapists working yesterday, and neither matches that description. Behind the counter, Sara nearly choked on her coffee. She turned slightly away, shoulders shaking, pretending to read a schedule, but very clearly listening. She already knew, of course. The mystery therapist was currently sitting on her couch at home, probably still mortified. David rubbed the back of his neck. Are you sure? Because I had an appointment, and someone gave me a massage. A very unique massage. Sara finally couldn't hold it in. She burst into a cough-laugh hybrid. David looked at her, confused. Are you okay? Fine, she squeaked. Totally fine. He narrowed his eyes. Do you, by any chance, know who she was? Sara considered lying. She almost lied. But she also knew Lana would want the choice. So instead she shrugged innocently. We get temp staff sometimes? Maybe she was a fill-in. David frowned. That sounded wrong, but before he could question it further, a familiar voice floated from behind him. Looking for me? He turned. Lana stood there, not in a tunic now, just in jeans, a soft sweater, hair flowing naturally around her shoulders, and an expression that was equal parts confidence, and please don't make me explain this. She looked nothing like a spa therapist, and somehow even more captivating. David lit up like someone had switched him on. There you are, he said, unable to hide the relief in his smile. Lana stepped closer, hands in pockets, pretending to be calm. So, she said lightly, you came back. Well, you told me you had magic hands, he teased. She nearly choked. She told him nothing of the sort. He told her, but sure. Let him have his moment. Right, she said with a playful grin. Magic hands. That's me. Sara made a noise behind the counter, somewhere between a snort and a dying seal, and quickly pretended to answer a non-existent phone call. David looked between the two women suspiciously, but he didn't push. Instead, he looked at Lana. Do you have time for another appointment? Lana froze. She absolutely did not have time. She came here to return Sara's charger, and maybe vent. She did not expect him to be here, looking at her like she actually belonged in this place. But the idea of saying no, the idea of cutting this unexpected spark short, no, she wasn't doing that. Sure, she said casually. Why not? Sara's eyebrows shot up so high they nearly left her face. But she said nothing, only threw Lana a, "You're insane and I love it" look. David exhaled, obviously pleased. Great. I thought, maybe we could continue where we left off. Lana tried not to laugh. If only he knew how close she had been to massaging his shoulder with the wrong end of the oil bottle yesterday. They stepped into the familiar room, the same dim lights, the same bottle of lavender oil that she still had no idea how to properly use, the same table that nearly squeaked to death under her nervous hands last time. Should I lie down? David asked with a hopeful smile. Lana hesitated, only a fraction of a second, before replying in her most professional voice, Yes, on your stomach, please. He lay down, folding his arms, cheek resting on them as he looked sideways at her. You seem more confident today, he said. She raised a brow. Oh, really? Yeah. Yesterday you looked like you were either deeply focused or terrified. That was accurate. Well, she said, stepping behind him, today I'm more comfortable. She wasn't, but her sense of humor was, and that counted. She touched the bottle, then paused. Warm hands first, she muttered, rubbing them together. David chuckled softly. Learning from your mistakes? I don't make mistakes, she corrected him confidently. I create surprises. He laughed, a warm, low sound that made her chest tighten unexpectedly. As she worked her hands along his shoulders, still improvising, still absolutely not a trained professional, something shifted between them. Not attraction, that was already there. Something softer, curiosity, comfort, a strange ease that came from two people sharing a secret neither dared to name yet. So, he said after a moment, how long have you been working here? She froze. He didn't see it, but he felt her hands pause. Long enough, she answered vaguely. He smirked into the pillow. That wasn't an answer. It was an answer-like thing. His laughter rumbled again. I don't think your manager would approve of that. Oh, trust me, she said under her breath. She definitely wouldn't. He glanced sideways at her. I never got your name yesterday. She stiffened. The receptionist had apparently introduced her as something else. She had no idea what. Probably something generic. Probably something she couldn't replicate without sounding suspicious. She began, then stopped herself. He raised a brow. You're... She forced a cheerful smile. Lana. David blinked. Wait, but the receptionist told me your name was... She panicked. Her hand slipped. He let out a startled oof as she accidentally pressed the wrong spot. Sorry, sorry, she squeaked, grabbing his shoulder. He propped himself on his elbows, turning to face her fully now. His expression was amused. Too amused. So, he said slowly, your real name is Lana? She swallowed. Maybe? His smile spread. Slow, knowing, warm. Well then, Lana, he said, voice dropping just a little. Who exactly gave me that massage yesterday? She froze. Their eyes locked, and the scene cut, perfectly, sharply, like a chapter ending on a cliffhanger. For a long second, Lana didn't breathe. David sat half-turned on the massage table, arms braced behind him, a teasing smile playing at the corner of his mouth, not accusing, not angry, just entertained. And undeniably curious. Well, he asked softly, are you going to tell me who you are? Or should I guess? Her first instinct was to deny everything. Her second was to run. Her third, the one she actually went with, was to laugh. A nervous, bubbling, hopeless laugh that slipped out before she could stop it. David raised a brow. That's a suspicious laugh, Lana. No, it's a perfectly normal laugh, she insisted. People laugh like this all the time. In stressful massage-related situations. He stared at her. Massage-related situations? Very common, statistically. He tilted his head. Uh-huh, she sighed. She felt the truth coming, the way a sneeze comes, unstoppable, messy, and a little humiliating. Okay, she said, throwing her hands up. Fine, I'll confess. David leaned forward, interest lighting his eyes. She took a deep breath. I'm not a massage therapist. He pretended to gasp. Really? I had absolutely no idea, she glared. You did know? Oh, I suspected, he said with a grin. The part where you karate chopped my shoulder was a pretty big hint. That was accidental, she protested. And when you poured cold oil on my back, I was nervous. And when you apologized in 3 different languages, that was polite. He laughed. A warm, rich laugh that filled the whole room. Lana felt her embarrassment melt just a little. Okay, she said, crossing her arms. But it wasn't my fault. I was visiting my friend. She works here. She left me alone for 1 minute, and then you walked in and... And you just decided to go with it? She hesitated. Yes. David nodded slowly, lips twitching. I respect that, he said. She blinked. You do? Absolutely. Most people would panic. You improvised. Badly, very badly, but confidently. Lana covered her face, groaning. I'm the worst fake therapist of all time. You're the most charming one I've ever met. She peeked between her fingers. You say that because you don't know any others. Then you're the best by default, he countered. Their eyes met, and suddenly the air changed. The room felt smaller, closer. His gaze wasn't teasing anymore. It was warm, focused, interested. Lana's heart did something very unprofessional. She lowered her hand slowly. So, you're not mad? Mad? He shook his head. Lana, if anything, I should thank you. She blinked again. For what? Assaulting your spine? For making the weirdest, funniest, most memorable hour I've had in years. Oh, that was unexpectedly sweet. And, he continued, voice softening, for coming back. You could have run when you saw me at reception. Trust me, she muttered. I considered it. But you stayed. He stood. The distance between them felt like a breath. He was close enough she could smell his cologne, warm, subtle, impossible to ignore. Why did you stay? He asked quietly. She swallowed. Well, maybe I wanted to see if you were actually as nice as you seemed yesterday. She paused. And maybe I wanted to fix the emotional damage I caused to your back. He smiled. And she felt her cheeks heat. And maybe I wanted to see you again. His smile widened. That makes two of us. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then he stepped just a little closer, gently pushing the boundary, checking if she'd pull away. She didn't. His hand lifted slightly, fingers brushing an escaped strand of her hair behind her ear. Soft, effortless, intimate. Lana's breath hitched. You know, he murmured, if you wanted my attention, you could have just said hi. I did say hi, she whispered, right before pretending to be a licensed professional. Details, she said quickly. He chuckled, his thumb grazing her cheek in a way that lit her nerves like fireworks. She leaned forward without meaning to. Or maybe she did. Either way, the space between them disappeared in a slow, unspoken pull. His forehead touched hers lightly. Barely a touch, barely a promise. Lana, he said softly, tell me something honestly. Okay. Was any part of that massage real technique? She tried to hold a straight face. Yes. Which part? The part where I didn't drop the oil bottle on your head. He burst out laughing. She joined him, relieved, warm, dizzy from the closeness. And then, without planning it, without thinking too hard, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't rushed, wasn't demanding, just a soft, curious, almost tentative kiss, like he was checking if she felt the same spark he did. She did. Her fingers curled into his shirt, pulling him a little closer. His hand slipped around her waist. The kiss deepened, still gentle, still exploring, but undeniably passionate. When they finally parted, both were slightly breathless. Wow, she whispered. Same, he murmured. A moment passed. Then he grinned. So, if you wanted my attention, you definitely succeeded. She laughed, warm and radiant. Well, he said, brushing her cheek again, there's only one thing I want now. And what's that? She asked softly. A real date, he said. No costumes, no massage tables, no improvisation. Dinner, you and me. Lana bit her lip, smiling. All right, she said, but on one condition. Name it. You let me choose the place. He extended his hand. Deal. She took it. The moment sealed itself between them. Sweet, thrilling, and full of promise. And just like that, the real story began. Lana spent the next 2 days oscillating between confidence and panic. 1 minute she stood in front of her mirror thinking, I've got this. It's just a date. The next minute, oh no, I absolutely do not got this. Sara, lounging on Lana's couch with chips, was entirely unhelpful. You kissed him, she reminded for the 15th time. He kissed me, Lana corrected. Details, Sara waved. The point is chemistry. You two have enough to power a small European country. Great, Lana muttered. Should I put that on my Tinder bio? Can power countries, bad at massages. Yes, Sara said without hesitation. But ready or not, the day came. Lana took the lead. As promised, she chose a cozy, slightly eccentric wine bar downtown. Dim lights, mismatched chairs, candles stuck in old wine bottles, jazz playing softly from speakers that occasionally crackled. Perfectly imperfect. Perfectly her. When she arrived, David was already there, waiting by the entrance. Not formal, but effortlessly put together. Dark jeans, a button-up shirt with sleeves rolled just enough to make her stare a little too long. He lit up when he saw her. Hey, he said, voice warm. Hey, she echoed, cheeks warming. He offered his arm. Charming, old school. And she slipped hers through it, unable to stop the smile rising on her lips. Inside, they took a small table near the window. The candle between them flickered, throwing gentle shadows across his face. So, David said once they'd settled, should I be worried? About what? Lana tilted her head. You insisted on choosing the place. That feels like a setup. She gasped dramatically. I would never sabotage our first date. He arched a brow. You pretended to be a massage therapist for our first meeting. That wasn't sabotage, she corrected. That was survival. He laughed. that warm laugh that made her stomach flutter. "So what's the catch here?" he asked, eyeing the menu. "There's always a catch with you," she smirked. "Well, this place is known for one thing, and that is, they accidentally double book events." He blinked. "Oh, like concerts?" "No, prenatal meditation classes." David stared at her. "You're joking." She pointed at the back of the bar. A dozen very pregnant women sat in a circle, humming rhythmically, while an instructor with a drum whispered, "Connect with the universe. Connect with your inner water." David turned back to Lana slowly. "You picked this place on purpose." "No," she said brightly. "It just has personality." He couldn't help it. He burst out laughing. They ordered wine. She chose something fruity. He chose something dry. They argued about which tasted better, like two people who had known each other much longer than a week. Halfway through the meal, Lana gestured too enthusiastically while telling a story and knocked her glass over. It splashed across her sweater, bright red. "Oh no," she gasped. David reached for napkins instantly. "I've got it. Here, hold still." He dabbed at her sweater. She swatted his hands. "You're making it worse. You're the one who elbowed your drink like it insulted you." "We're calling this teamwork?" She laughed. But that was only the beginning. The waiter approached a moment later, smiling politely. "So, how long have you two been married?" Both froze. David inhaled sharply. We're not." "Oh, sorry," the waiter said. "You just have that couple vibe." Lana blinked. "Couple vibe?" "Yeah, you know, like you can read each other's expressions without speaking." David looked at Lana. Lana looked at David. And they both sort of knew what the waiter meant. "We're on our first date," Lana admitted. The waiter's eyes widened. "Oh, a beat? Well, good luck. If you make it past the wine-spilling phase, you'll be fine." He left. David stared at her with a slow-growing smile. "Couple vibe. Huh?" "Don't start," she warned. "I'm just saying." He leaned forward, chin resting on his hand. "We do bicker like we've been married for 5 years." She laughed. "Yeah, but we kiss like we've known each other 5 minutes." His eyes flickered, warm, surprised, intrigued. "Well," he said, "we can fix that." The date continued with a rhythm that felt strangely natural. More teasing, more laughter, long glances over candlelight. At one point, the prenatal meditation group began chanting loudly, something that sounded suspiciously like, "Open your chakras." Lana covered her face. "I swear I didn't plan this." "I believe you," David said. "You do?" "Absolutely. Because if you did plan it, you would have charged me an entry fee." She shoved his shoulder. When they finally left the bar, the night was cool and quiet. City lights reflecting on puddles from the afternoon rain. They walked slowly, side by side, neither in a hurry. David glanced at her. "So," he said softly, "was tonight what you wanted?" She nodded. "Yeah, it was imperfect, chaotic, silly." She looked up at him with a smile. "Exactly my type of night." "Good," he murmured. They reached a small bridge overlooking the river. He stopped. She turned to him. And there, under warm streetlight, he stepped closer and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The same gesture that made her melt the first time. "Lana," he said quietly, "can I kiss you again?" She didn't answer with words. She rose onto her toes, took his shirt gently in her hands, and kissed him first. This kiss was different from the one in the massage room. Slower, deeper, confident, but soft. The kind that made the world around them blur. The kind that tasted like laughter and red wine, and something new blooming between them. When they finally pulled away, he rested his forehead against hers, their breaths mingling. "Wow," he whispered. She smiled. "Same." After a moment, she stepped back slightly, cheeks warm. "Okay," she said. "Your turn." He blinked. "My turn?" "You saw my world tonight. My chaos, pregnant meditation circles, spilled wine." She took a playful step backwards. "So now you get to see the real one. Tomorrow." His brows lifted. You're inviting me over? She grinned. Scared? He grinned back. Not even a little. Good, she said, tapping his chest lightly, because tomorrow you meet Sara. David paled. Oh no. Oh yes, Lana laughed. Welcome to my world. David thought he was ready. He wasn't. Nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared him for Sara. Lana opened the apartment door the next evening with a bright smile and flower on her cheek. You're baking? David asked, stepping inside. No, Lana said cheerfully. Sara is. A loud crash came from the kitchen, followed by a string of words that made David blink. That's my cue, Lana said, taking his hand. Let's enter the battlefield. They walked in and found a tall, expressive woman surrounded by bowls, spoons, chocolate, and what appeared to be a small flower tornado. Sara looked up with a grin that was both welcoming and concerning. You must be the man who made Lana voluntarily curl her hair today, Lana hissed. Shh. David hid a smile. Yes? Guilty, I guess. Good, Sara said. Sit, eat. Don't breathe too hard, or my cake will collapse. Lana leaned toward David and whispered, She's joking. I'm not, Sara said immediately. It will collapse. He sat. He had barely been in the chair for 10 seconds when Sara pointed a whisk at him. So, do you like her? David blinked. Yes? Why? Sara, Lana groaned, burying her face in her hands. What? I'm filtering out the weak ones. David met Sara's gaze. With respect. This feels like a job interview. Oh, it is, Sara said pleasantly. Lana dropped onto the stool beside him. Please ignore her. She's dramatic. David smiled slowly. I don't mind. Sara narrowed her eyes at him like a hawk assessing prey. All right, fine. Continue. Why do you like her? Lana sighed loudly. You know I'm in the room, right? Yes, dear, Sara waved. That's the point. David placed his elbows on the table and looked at Lana. Really looked. I like her, he said, because she's real. His voice was calm, steady. She's funny without trying. She tells the truth even when it makes her nervous. She doesn't fake anything, not even her chaos. Lana stared at him, cheeks warming. And, David added softly, she makes me feel like the world is lighter. A pause. Sara blinked. Oh, damn, she muttered. You might actually be a good one. She tossed the whisk aside. Fine, you pass. Lana groaned again. You're not allowed to pass or fail my dates. Too late, Sara shrugged. He passed. Congrats, man. You're now officially tolerated. That's the highest honor I've received this week, David answered. Sara smirked. I like him, she announced. Lana exhaled dramatically. Thank God. Now can we have a normal evening? No, Sara said, but we can eat cake. The next hour unfolded with laughter, teasing, and the occasional kitchen disaster. At one point, Sara tried to demonstrate a safe way to fluff frosting, flicked her wrist too hard, and launched icing across the table, right onto David's shirt. Lana gasped, Your shirt! It's all right, he said, wiping at it. Sara nodded, evaluating him. Good. He's calm under pressure. Husband material. Sara, what? She protested. Just saying what we're all thinking. We are not thinking that, Lana insisted. David coughed under his breath. I didn't say anything. Lana glared at both of them. Sara winked. By the time the cake was finished, slightly crooked but edible, Sara announced that she had a date with Netflix and denial, and shooed them into the living room. Go, she said, pointing. Sit on the couch. Be attractive. I'll pretend I don't hear kissing. Sara! Fine, fine, she sighed, waving them away. I'll put on headphones. Lana buried her face in her hands. I'm so sorry. David chuckled quietly. Don't be. I like her. She's honest and protective. That means you're special. Lana lowered her hands and looked at him. Really looked. And in that soft moment, her teasing faded. Something warmer settled between them. Come on, she murmured. Let's go somewhere with fewer Flower attacks. They moved to the couch. Lana tucked her legs under her, facing him. He sat close, but not too close, letting her set the distance. "So," she said, "you've seen my best friend, my kitchen disasters, my apartment that's allergic to organization." "It's cozy," David said. "It's chaos," she corrected. "It's you," he answered. "That makes it perfect." Her breath caught for a second, just a second, at how simply he said it. "Your trouble," she whispered. He smiled. "You have no idea." They settled deeper into the cushions, and their conversation flowed like it had on their date. Easy, warm, teasing. He asked about her photography. She told him about the time she accidentally booked a pet photo shoot and got chased by a goose. He told her about his job. She told him how she once set off a fire alarm at her old workplace by microwaving soup in a metal cup. They laughed a lot. But there was something else building too, a slow pull, a rising tension that hummed each time their knees brushed, or she caught him watching her with that quiet, warm focus. At one point she shifted, leaning closer without thinking. He leaned too. Their voices dropped. "So," he murmured, "am I officially approved by your world?" "Maybe," she whispered. "Maybe? Well," she said softly, fingers brushing the back of the couch near his shoulder. "You still haven't passed the final test." He tilted his head with a small smile. "And what's that?" She traced a slow, invisible circle in the air, her eyes flicking briefly to his lips before returning to his gaze. "Kissing me," she said quietly, "when we're not in a moment that's trying to be perfect." He shifted closer, just enough that she could feel his breath blend with hers. "This moment," he murmured, "isn't trying to be perfect." "No, no," he said. "It already is." And he kissed her, soft at first, warm, steady. The kind of kiss that steals the ground from under your feet without warning. Lana made a small sound against his lips and moved closer, fingers curling into his shirt. He cupped her jaw gently, deepening the kiss. It was tender and hungry at the same time, a slow unraveling, a pull they couldn't ignore. When they finally parted, both breathless, she whispered, "Okay, you passed." He smiled against her forehead. "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." David and Lana had been together for a couple of weeks, and the days since their first real date had been a mix of laughter, teasing messages, and stolen moments that made time feel elastic. Every touch, every glance, and every joke had only drawn them closer. So when David suggested a weekend getaway to a small lakeside cabin, Lana agreed almost immediately. Though her heart was fluttering with nerves she refused to fully acknowledge. When David arrived to pick her up, he grinned as she struggled with her oversized suitcase. "Planning to move in?" he teased. "Don't judge me," Lana said, slightly out of breath. "Preparedness is attractive." "I'll keep that in mind," he replied, effortlessly lifting her suitcase into the trunk. She rolled her eyes but couldn't stop the smile rising on her lips. The drive was easy, filled with a mix of soft music, laughter, and moments of quiet that felt comfortable rather than awkward. Every so often, their hands brushed against each other, and neither pulled away. It was in these subtle touches, these tiny electric sparks, that the intimacy between them grew. The cabin was cozy and inviting, nestled right on the water, with a small wooden deck and tall pines swaying gently in the breeze. Lana stepped inside, exhaling at the rustic charm. "Oh, wow," she whispered. "You like it?" David asked, watching her with a small, satisfied smile. "It's perfect," she said, her voice soft. Inside, and the space was warm and simple, with a fireplace, a small kitchen, a couch, and one bed. Her heartbeat quickened, but David didn't rush her. He simply set down her bag and said casually, "If you want the bed, I can take the couch." "No," she said immediately. "We'll figure it out." Her cheeks warmed at the gentle way he said it, and she realized that this was exactly what she wanted. Calm, respectful, patient, yet full of quiet desire. They spent the early evening walking along the lake, tossing pebbles into the water and teasing each other about who could skip stones better. She won, and he protested dramatically, claiming it was a fluke, while she swore divine intervention had aided her victory. The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the water with gold, and the world felt far away, leaving only the two of them and the soft rhythm of the lake lapping at the shore. Back at the cabin, they cooked dinner together. Lana chopped vegetables, while David somehow managed to overcook water, eliciting peals of laughter from both of them. As they finally sat down to eat, legs brushing under the small table, Lana felt a thrill in the ordinary, mundane comfort of it all. The casual touches, the easy conversation, the shared laughter. It all felt impossibly intimate. After dinner, they moved to the couch, wrapping themselves in a blanket. David insisted the tea he brewed was perfectly fine, though Lana suspected it was actually warm water, with a tea bag held near it for moral support. She curled against him, head resting on his shoulder, feeling the warmth of his body and the steady beat of his heart. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "What is?" he asked, his voice gentle. "How much I like this," she admitted. David turned to look at her, his gaze tender but unwavering. "I like you too," he said softly. "More every day." Her chest tightened. "I'm scared," she admitted, surprising herself. "I know," he said. "Me too." "You?" she asked, incredulous. "Yes," he murmured, smiling. "Of how fast this feels, how right it is, how much I want you, how much I—" He trailed off, but the intensity in his eyes said everything. She lifted her hand to rest against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "David," she whispered. He gently turned her face to his, capturing her lips in a kiss that was both slow and urgent, warmth and desire intertwined with the familiarity and trust they had built over the past weeks. It was a kiss that spoke of growing love, of shared laughter, and of the irresistible pull between them. Lana wrapped her arms around him, drawing him closer, while he cupped her face and deepened the kiss. Careful, patient, yet impossibly passionate. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. She smiled, pressing her forehead to his. "Okay. I think I'm ready for this," she murmured. He smiled back, resting his forehead against hers. "Good," he said, "because I'm not going anywhere." The weekend continued in a blissful rhythm. Mornings with coffee by the lake, afternoons exploring trails and small towns nearby, evenings cooking together and teasing one another over minor kitchen disasters. Every touch, every glance, and every shared laugh drew them closer. On the last night, they sat outside on the deck, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars reflected on the lake. David turned to her, taking both her hands in his. "Lana, I need you to know something," he said softly. "I want more than games or improvisation. I want this, us, to be real, not just fun, not just a joke, but something true. I want you, fully." Her breath caught. "David, I—" She hesitated for the first time in weeks, her fears pressing in, but then she remembered everything that had led her here. The awkward massage, the playful lies, the laughter, the tenderness. "I want that too," she admitted, voice trembling with emotion. "I'm ready to choose this, to choose you." He smiled, relief and joy flooding his expression. He leaned forward, capturing her lips in another kiss, slow and unhurried, full of promise. The kiss deepened, and Lana felt the culmination of their entire journey. The awkward first encounter, the playful teasing, the growing intimacy, all merge into this perfect, honest moment. Later, back inside, David surprised her by dragging in a small, foldable massage table he had bought as a joke, a playful nod to their unusual first meeting. "Just in case you ever want to play therapist again," he said with a grin. Lana laughed, shaking her head, her heart full. "Only if you promise to be my client forever," she replied, pulling him close. He pressed a soft kiss to her temple. "Forever sounds good to me." They settled together by the fireplace, the glow reflecting the warmth in their hearts. No games, no pretending. Just the simple, profound joy of being with someone who understood them, made them laugh, and made them feel alive.